The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leisure Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
G'day, it's Gus Walland here from Gotcha for Life and Triple M. I'd love to invite you along to the Mental Fitness Gym. Go to the mentalfitnessgym.org. That is a place where you can pick up some exercises to build your mental fitness, to work on that emotional muscle, those muscles in your head that are so powerful. Please come and join us at the mentalfitnessgym.org for all that stuff to build your emotional muscle and your mental fitness.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. Troy Warner here, and I'm here with my little sidekick, Ella. How you going, Ella?
Good.
It is finals time, the 2024 NRL finals. So only 4 weeks of footy to go before we crown a premier.
I see another Panthers
winner.
game up there.
That's it. The Panthers, they are looking to win their fourth premiership in a row.
Okay, that's very cool.
It is pretty cool. Fourth premiership in a row. That would be like the Dragons in the 50s and 60s when they won 11 in a row. Parramatta were the last team to win 3 in a row. But can the Panthers win 4 in a row? Who knows? Well, it all starts...
I think they can.
Okay, I knew you did say that. Anyway, it all kicks off this Friday the 13th.
The 13th.
Yes. So
very interesting.
It is very interesting. And the first game is the Panthers and the Roosters at Bluebet Stadium. Now, last week they had their last ever regular season home game and they called it Penrith Park in front of all the old boys there. So this will be the last ever game at Bluebet Stadium, Penrith Park, as we know it, before it is knocked down and redeveloped into a brand new stadium. So expecting a full house here at Penrith. There is limited seats available. I am pretty sure of that one. And the big news for you Penrith fans and rugby league fans, I guess, is the number 7, Nathan Cleary, is back in as halfback and captain in this side. So some big news there for Panthers fans. It was expected that he would play the first week of the finals after having 3 weeks off with that shoulder injury. Is it quite right? Ready to go? Is it 100%? Who knows? But it is a finals game, and the winner of this game will go straight to the preliminary final in a couple of weeks' time. So one game before the grand final. The Roosters, well, they welcome back some big names: Daniel Tupou, Dominic Young, Lindsay Collins, Nat Butcher. So Joseph Suaalii goes into the centres. Joey Manu in the centres as well. Dom Young straight onto the wing. Sandon Smith, he retains that halfback spot, obviously with Sam Walker out. Spencer Leniu in the number 8 is taking JWH's spot. He is coming back to Penrith to play his old club. This will be an interesting battle against Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris, especially Lindsay Collins as well. That'll be a good upfront battle as well. Nat Butcher at the lock. So, look, the Panthers, they probably haven't played the best footy over the last 4 to 6 weeks, but they have been getting the wins. If we just check out their previous meetings, or their previous games, they had a win against the Titans, 18 points to 12, 34-12 against the Rabbitohs, a couple of losses to the Raiders and Storm 2 weeks in a row, and they beat the Eels by 2 points. The Roosters, They've only had the one loss against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago, but they have played the Rabbitohs, Titans, Eels, Dolphins, so all teams outside the top 8. The last time these two sides met this season was early on in the season. The Panthers got the win 22 points to 16 at Allianz Stadium. And look, the Roosters and Panthers, the Roosters don't have the best of records against the Panthers. They don't have the best of record against the Panthers, I should say. They struggle in the big games and even in the preseason and the regular season games as well. So, look, a big test for the Roosters. It is Friday the 13th. The Panthers are wearing black. Ella, who are you going for?
Obviously the Panthers.
Yes, it is Friday the 13th. The Panthers are in black. That could be a good omen. Look, I think the Panthers will be too strong for the Roosters, although I think the Roosters will give it a good shake on Friday night. That is for sure. I just think you never underestimate the Roosters. They are a quality side, even though they don't have that best of records against the Panthers and the Melbourne Storm. The next team we're going to talk about in this competition. Anyway, the next game is played between the Melbourne Storm and the Cronulla Sharks down at Amy Park on Saturday, 4:05 p.m, Saturday the 14th of September. The Storm, minor premiers. The Sharks finish 4th in this game. For the Melbourne Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen comes back into the side at fullback. And look, this is a pretty strong side. I really like the look of this. I think they will be the premiers in 2024, although the Panthers, they'll have other words about that one. But I think this is a really good side. I think Tyron Wishart on the interchange bench he's Mr. Fix-It. He can play any position in this side. Jerome Hughes has had a season that he would want to have every single year because he is one of the Dally M favourites, I think, for this season. And Jack Howarth in the centres, he's come of age, I think. A really good find from Craig Bellamy there. He has played regular first grade this year. For the Cronulla Sharks, Nico Hines, he's back again. He has only played, I think, last week, 2 games previous to this one. So third game in a row for Nico after having an extended stint on the sidelines. Daniel Atkinson is on the bench. Now, last time these two sides met, Daniel Atkinson actually kicked the field goal in this game in the 73rd minute and converted a try that was just after the field goal to make it 25 points to 18 down in Melbourne. So the Sharks do have a winning record down in Melbourne. I just think this is going to be tough for the Sharks with this Melbourne Storm side really humming along nicely. Again, as I said in the first game, the winner of this game will go straight to the prelim final, and it will be a home prelim final. So, very important game for both these sides. Look, the Sharks, they do have the record down there. They did beat them this year, so they will be confident. Although they are both 4 from 5, their last 5 starts. The last game for the Melbourne Storm was 50 points to 12 over the Broncos, and the Sharks beat the Sea Eagles 40 points to 20. So both teams going into this game with great form. I think the Storm are favourites down in Melbourne. Ella, who are you going to go for?
I'm actually going to go for the Sharks on this one.
Okay, interesting. I like your thought there. They have beaten Melbourne previously down there this season, so they are in with a shot. I'm going to tip the Melbourne Storm. I just think they will be too strong.
Is that our first different one?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Now, the next game on Saturday night, 7:50 p.m, is at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, which means obviously that the Cowboys are playing, and they are playing the Newcastle Knights in a elimination final. So the loser of this game is out for the season. The North Queensland Cowboys, look, I think they could be a little bit of a smoky for the title this year. They have been playing some pretty consistent football this season. The last loss they had was 4 weeks ago against the Broncos, 42 points to 18. But just recently they put on a clinic against the Bulldogs, 44 points to 6. They beat the Melbourne Storm 38 points to 30. They beat the Raiders 42-4. So they are really coming into their own at the moment. Look, as are the Newcastle Knights. They won the, I guess you could say not really playoff, but the game which would decide 8th spot. They beat the Dolphins 14 points to 6 at home at McDonald Jones Stadium. Old Boys Day there. They beat the Titans the week before that, 36 points to 14, and the Rabbitohs 36-16. So a lot will depend on Kalen Ponga for Newcastle. He is their go-to man in attack. He was probably the player of the match for Newcastle up there in Newcastle against the Dolphins. If he didn't play that game, Newcastle don't win. Bradman Best, he's a big game player as well, along with Dane Gagai as well in the centres. So they've got a great centre combination there. They have settled on Jack Cogger and Phoenix Crossland as their half and 5'8". Look, I think Tom Dearden from the Cowboys, he is 5'8" and captain. He has been playing some good footy this year. He played in the Origin series with Cameron Munster out of the Origin series. And he was one of Queensland's best there. And he's just playing some good footy. I think Helam Lukey, he had a blinder last week against the Bulldogs. And Ruben Cotter as well. He just signed a new deal last week to extend his stay at the club until the end of 2027, I think it was. So, look, this one is up at North Queensland, Saturday night, 7:50 p.m. I think this will be a tough ask for Newcastle to get this win. Was it their grand final last week against the Dolphins? Only time will tell. Ella, who are you going for in this one?
I'm going to go for the Cowboys.
The Cowboys, yes. Very smart choice there.
Is that a good choice?
It is a very good choice. I'm going to go the Cowboys as well. I just think at home they are in pretty good form. They touched up the Bulldogs last week, another top 8 team. So this will be a hard ask for Newcastle. It will be Kyle Felt's last game at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in front of the home fans. Valentine Holmes' last game for the Cowboys when he moves on to the Dragons next year. Unfortunately, so he moves to the Dragons next year. So, yes, I'm going to tip the Cowboys as well.
Okay, that's great.
Yes, another one we agree on. And the last game of the round, the finals, the first week of the finals, week 1, 4:05 p.m. on Sunday, the 15th of September at Accor Stadium, sees the Bulldogs, who finished in 6th spot, take on the Sea Eagles. Now, they are expecting a crowd of 50,000 plus there at Accor Stadium. It is the first time since, I think, 2016, I think it was, that the Bulldogs have made the finals. So, look, when the Bulldogs make the finals, rugby league is doing well. Now, the bookies can't split these two sides. The Bulldogs finish in 6th, the Sea Eagles in 7th. They only played a couple of weeks ago, and the Sea Eagles got the win there, 34 points to 22, but that was only a couple of weeks ago. They did have a few players out. They did have a few players out last week, the Bulldogs, when they got touched up by the Cowboys. But they do have some big ins, and probably the biggest in is Matt Burton at 5'8". He has overcome his HIA protocols, so he is back. He didn't play last week. He's back at 5'8". Bronson Xerri is back in the centre position after a suspension, I think it was. No Josh Addo-Carr. He is off-field incident, or not incident, but an off-field issue at the moment that he is dealing with. It's all been in the news lately, so we won't touch on that one too much. He has stepped himself down from this elimination final, which is unfortunately for the Bulldogs not good news there, as you would want a player of his experience to be in the side. However, he is not. Jarrell Skelton, who I thought played pretty well against the Roosters, I think it was at Gosford one night. Had a good game there. I believe he's signed with the Tigers for 2025. He is on that wing spot there for the Bulldogs. And again, look, Bulldogs will lean towards the experience of Jamin Salmon, Viliami Kikau, Reid Marnie's played finals before, Matt Burton, obviously, and the captain, obviously, Stephen Crichton. He has won premierships with Penrith, so they'll be leaning on these guys for finals experience for the younger players in the team, and they will just coach them, I guess, during the week as well, as they have that finals experience. For the Sea Eagles, Tommy Turbo, look, he is named, he will play. A lot of talk about whether he would or wouldn't, but he would play. They were saying he got injured in this game a couple of weeks ago against the Bulldogs, and they said that if the semi-final started last week and it was an elimination game, he would play last week. But he's had a week off. They play on the Sunday, so it's an extra day as well. So, look, he will always play. Luke Brooks, he plays his first ever finals game after moving from the West Tigers. Just heard him on radio on Triple M on the rush hour. He is pretty excited to play in a game that's going to be probably in front of 50,000 plus people. And he was saying about Tommy Turbo that he will probably most likely play anyway. Hamoli Olakavatu played Origin this year. Jake Travojevic as well has got a bit of experience in the finals. Nathan Brown as well. So, look, this is going to be... I can't split it, to be honest, because I think the Bulldogs and the Sea Eagles, the bookies can't split it. This is going to be a really close encounter, I think. It's going to be... I don't think it'll be a high-scoring affair. We have seen the Bulldogs. They did have the best defensive record in the competition. They have let that slip the last couple of weeks with some big scores put against them. They have 44 points against the Cowboys, 34 against the Sea Eagles, so 78 points in the last 2 weeks they have leaked. Other than that, they have been pretty well. These two sides, 3 out of their last 5 games, and I just don't know how the loss against the Sharks last week at 4 Pines will dent the confidence of the Sea Eagles. Whew, this one's going to be a tough one. Ella, who are you going to tip in this one?
I don't know.
Bulldogs or Sea Eagles? Who do you
I think I'm going to go for the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs? Okay, yeah. Look, I think I'm going to go for the Bulldogs too, I think, in this one. I just think with the screaming 50,000 plus crowd there, look, the experience, especially of Stephen Crichton in this side, he has made a world of difference to this Bulldogs side. I just think, yeah, look, as I said, they would have learnt from the game a couple of weeks ago against the Sea Eagles. I don't know if Tommy Turbo is 100% fit, but I am going to tip the Bulldogs as well.
Okay, so we agree.
That's it. So what we will see then is if our tips go right of the Panthers, Storm... you're going the Sharks, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going the Storm, you're going the Sharks. All right, let's just recap our tips. So you're going the Panthers, the Sharks, the Cowboys, and the Bulldogs.
Yep, correct.
And I'm going the Panthers, the Storm, the Cowboys, and the Bulldogs.
Okay.
So the thing about that is...
We both agree on Panthers.
Yeah, but it's all I'm going for all the home teams, and you're going for one away team, the Sharks, who are playing down in Melbourne. So if our tips are correct, then the Panthers will go to the prelim final. We won't worry about the Storm or Sharks because the winner of that game will go to the prelim final. But if our Cowboys and Bulldogs tips are right, that will mean that the Knights and Sea Eagles are exiting the competition for 2024. So look,
interesting.
It is very interesting. It is finals. Look, get out there if you can, support your team. I'll be watching these games, that is for sure, because there's no better time than finals football. I just wish Parramatta was there, but that's okay next year, 2025. But yeah, finals football, it is upon us. Get out there, support your team. Thank you very much, Ella, for joining me once again.
You're
we'll
welcome.
be back next week. This season is wrapping up pretty quickly. There is only a couple of games, 2 games next week.
Okay.
2 games the week after, and then the grand final, 1 game to tip.
Okay.
The grand final coming up. So, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the weekend of football. If your team is playing, then all the best of luck. I hope your team wins. If your team isn't playing, let me know who you are supporting in this finals series. I haven't picked a side yet who I'm going to support in this finals.
You should say Panthers.
I have been told that from a lot of people, but maybe I'll put that out to the listeners and the Instagram page which team I should support in the finals and see what the response is. But as I said, if your team's in the finals, good luck to your team. Thank you very much for listening. Please share it with your family and friends. It'll be available on Apple and Spotify and also YouTube as well. And give the Facebook and Instagram page a follow as well. Thank you very much. And look, as I always say, even though they're not playing,
go Para.
Go Para.
Hello, Paracave podcast listeners. My name is Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty and long-term sponsor of the Paracave podcast. If you're looking to sell your property or buy, or just curious to know what your property is worth in today's market, give me a call today on 0421 588 445.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.